Well, let's get this show on the road, everybody. We've got a lot of topics tonight. Can we start with an introduction from our interpreter, please?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm here with the Community Language Cooperative supporting the City of Sheridan's language justice practices. We're going to have simultaneous interpretation in English and Spanish. Please make sure you select your language at the bottom of the screen when we start the interpretation. Please remember to speak at a conversational pace so that I can interpret everything correctly. As well, to refer to the page on the packet where you're at so that I can follow along. If you have any question at any point, please let me know in the chat. If I can't hear you, I'm going to turn on my camera and I'm going to point at my ears. So every now and then maybe look at the camera just in case to the screen. Hola a todos, soy Andrea, estoy aquí con la Community Language Cooperative. Vamos a estar practicando la justicia del lenguaje y teniendo interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español. Por favor, asegúrense de hablar a un paso conversacional para que yo pueda interpretar todo lo que están diciendo. Y si no los escucho, voy a apuntarme a mi audífono para que ustedes sepan que no los escucho. And thank you so much. We can begin interpretation now.
Thank you, Andrea. I'll call this Sheridan City Council work session to order for September 26, 2022. The time is 6:03 p.m. And we have all council members present. It's all council members present. First item on our agenda tonight is the Housing Authority. Hi. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Do we normally do roll call? No, we did roll call. Okay.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I should probably follow my agenda. What do we usually do for these? I've only been doing them for like 13 years. I'll call to order the Sheridan Housing Authority meeting for September 26, 2022, and we still have all board members present. Our first item is the minutes, presentation and approval of the minutes.
Does anybody have any questions about the minutes?
Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Hall and seconded by Board Member Smith. Any discussion on the minutes? Can we get a vote, please?
A roll call?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I mean, okay. Members Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Chairman Beider-Fleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the financial report, presentation and approval.
Okay. So financially, everything is basically looking the same. In the Sheridan General Fund, our balances are increasing a little bit because we're actually earning some interest. That is one of the things that's good about interest rates going up a little bit, I guess. So we got about $700, almost $703 of interest today through August. And that account just has some funds that we have there for housing projects. Some of it is still yours for the Homes to Housing program. But that is just there for us. The HUD account, the HAP account where we pay the landlords and pay staff and take care of the other things is the VOA shop port account. And things are basically looking good. We're actually getting paid correctly from HUD. The amount that we're spending is the amount we're getting paid. And it's only been about a difference of $4,000, which is nice. Normally it fluctuates bigger than that. We are still working to get the $35,000 in money they owe us from the past. We kind of had that locked down, and then there's been some more conversations because the money is actually dates back to 2016 and 2017. So there's more conversations about what pot of money that's actually going to come from because it's so far in the past. There's been some more discussions. I'm so confident we're going to get it. Our financial analyst with HUD is excellent and has been working through us, working with us through this and been supportive through this. So we'll get the funds, but that is still there. So we're still a little bit in the hole when it comes to paying those management fees to Inglewood. But in terms, again, of paying our landlords, and staying on top of all our other duties and paying all our other contractors, everything is good. So there's not really much to note. It's just not really exciting this month, and that's okay. It's sort of better when finances are not exciting.
Anyone like to make a motion? Don't be shy.
I'll make a motion to approve financial report.
I'll second. Motion made by Board Member Hall and seconded by Board Member Daigle. Any further discussion or questions on the financial reports?
None here.
Can we get a vote, please? Roll call.
Member Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Biden,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the program reports.
So the program reports demonstrate how many vouchers we have leased up. And in July and August, we had 177 vouchers to work with. In July, we leased up 155, which was, we're spending 99% of our budget authority on those vouchers. In August, we actually dip a little bit to 149. A couple of people ported out. They can take their vouchers wherever they want once they've been in the program for a year. And if they take them to another housing authority who decides to absorb that voucher, we no longer pay for it. They pay for it. And we did have somebody EOP, they turned their voucher in because they were moving to assisted living. That said, though, we have pulled more folks from our lottery and are hoping to lease those back up, because if we lose some, there normally is still the budget authority left for us to lease those back up. So we're trying to get back to the 155-ish, although I have exciting news and I will save that for the next report.
Can I get a motion on the program reports?
I'll move to approve the program report.
I'll second. Motion made by Board Member Daigle and seconded by Board Member Stang. Any discussion or questions on the program reports? Can we get a vote, please?
Members Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Biden,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next is the manager's report.
Okay, so here's my exciting news, a couple exciting things. Some of you might have heard me say this already, but there was some funding that was released as part of the new housing bill that was passed, or actually the Consolidated Appropriations Act, and that put forth $200 million for new vouchers. Brand new, look, we always talk about how do you get more vouchers. I've never seen this happen, but we got some, we got 4. And while that may not be huge, it feels really big for us. It feels wonderful to have the money to have 4 new vouchers on the street. Those vouchers can start leasing up as of October 1st. So we have already pulled names from the lottery. We basically got this information on August 29th and immediately went to the lottery to pull folks, because it takes a few months for folks to go through the application process and then get briefed and go look for housing. So we knew October 1st was going to come quickly. It has, it's Saturday. But we're really excited because this adds to our voucher count, and they gave us money. They gave us almost $62,000 to lease up these 4 vouchers, and that's wonderful. And we'll continue to get that increased funding over the year. So this is now going to take our total voucher count up to 181. And we're hoping to lease closer to kind of 160, 161, 162 with these new vouchers. Inglewood got 6. So, total across programs, we got 10, and that's just wonderful news. I found that very exciting when I didn't know that was coming. I knew about the bill and I knew about the extra money, but on the back end, HUD does their formulas and they decide who gets what. And so I woke up to 2 wonderful emails about new vouchers for both programs. So yeah, I'm a dork, but I was very excited about that because I didn't know they were coming. I wasn't sure if we would kind of luck out in the formula. But we did, and that's finalized, and we'll see that money on the 1st, and we've got people kind of started going through the process to get leased up. We've updated our family self-sufficiency plan. I think I've talked about the program before. It's a complimentary program for folks in the voucher program. They can work with our self-sufficiency coordinator to save money in an escrow account that HUD kind of puts away for them while they gain self-sufficiency, which could be going back to school, getting a job, getting a better job. And basically it's a support program to help people reach self-sufficiency. They don't necessarily have to be off housing. They have to be off TANF and other kind of forms of welfare. But as long as they are working through the program, they can earn this escrow account and they can get the escrow account paid out to them. It's a wonderful program that hasn't been updated in many, many years. They did a huge rule rewrite a couple of years ago, finally got everything through, got the public comment, finalized the rule. And that meant that we had to update our action plan. That's basically the guide that we use to run the program. And we had to basically kind of put the program on hold while HUD reviewed all the action plans. That's how much a rule they changed about the program, that they wanted you to just kind of stop and pause while you rewrote your action plan and got that approved. It had to be to HUD by September 30th. We submitted it on the 15th and have not yet heard back about whether or not it's been approved, but are pretty confident it will be. And the minute it's approved, we can start re-enrolling folks in the program and kind of moving forward. A lot of the changes were very positive. A lot of the changes were things that coordinators gave feedback on and said, hey, this isn't working well for our participants, so let's change this up. And a lot of it has to do with how they can earn the money that goes in their escrow accounts. So good things all around. We're just hoping to hear back from HUD sooner than later that the plan was approved so we can kind of open the doors again. We normally have anywhere from 35 to 45, 50 folks in the program from both the Inglewood program and the Sheridan program. We run a combined program for the FSS. Let's see. So the grant for Sheridan is going good. We did have a bit of a hiccup. The McKinney-Vento liaison for the district, who is our main contact to recruit the families experiencing homelessness and get them to us so we can help them, left the district a few weeks ago. They also had some retirements and some other higher level positions that were working in the program with us. They filled the higher level positions and they're posting again for the McKinney-Vento, but we are still helping a lot of families right now. We did a lot of recruitment at the beginning of the year and we're still working through some of those families that we recruited. And the school believes they'll have the McKinney-Vento liaison hired very soon. And that'll be very helpful for us to get some new families through the door. But we have a good amount of money and we have a couple more months to spend that. So far, so good. We actually, the past month, I think, gave out about $20,000 in rental assistance to folks. And these were, for the most part, folks who were already in housing, but were behind on a couple months rent. And then we also tried to give folks like 1 or 2 months extra so they can get ahead and be very stable then in their housing. So that was a good thing too. Then another really exciting update is we had a vacant position, a vacant housing tech position for the voucher program. And that woman started today and it might've scared her a little bit, but I think she likes it and I think she's gonna stay. But we're really excited. That person will be the main contact for the folks in the Sheridan voucher program. So we're excited to have that position finally hired and have a stable body there and have that not be me. Although I love working with the families. That's something I miss in most of my day to day, but it's a lot. And so we're ready for her to take over. And I think she's going to be great.
Do you think those changes to the FSS program will increase the enrollment at any or?
I don't know if it will because the core structure of the program has not changed. I think it could because it looks more now at the family versus the head of household. And so we had folks where the head of household was disabled and was never going to work or be self-sufficient based on HUD's definition. And they, at that point, weren't great candidates for the program. If they happened to have other adults in the household, like an adult child or a spouse or something, that whole family's income now counts towards the escrow and towards self-sufficiency. So that could increase enrollment. We don't have a ton of families like that. So we'll just have to see. We can't enroll people until this gets passed. We've got a little bit of a waiting list, an interest list actually of families who are ready to enroll. So I'll be able to report back on that in a few months.
That's always fun to me when I get the AP for those and I get to
Right.
see people getting their payments. I'm like,
Oh
so
yeah.
cool.
We did a graduation, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, and we always have them come to the office. We give them a little plaque with their check. I like to go out and shake their hands. This one woman was just so excited. And she actually got to a point where she relinquished her voucher because she could pay for her full rent by herself as 30% of her income and was just so proud of herself and excited. And those are some of the really neat things to see and to shake their hands and say congratulations.
Awesome. Anybody want to make a motion on the manager's report?
I'll make a motion to approve manager's report.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Stang and seconded by Board Member Whitaker. Any other questions or comments on the manager's report? We get a vote, please.
Chairman Butterfur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
We have no unfinished business. Under new business, we have resolution number 3, series of 2022, HUD annual certification and board resolution.
Okay, so every year we have to do what's called an annual plan and submit that to HUD. Luckily, the Sheridan program is so tiny. HUD says you don't have to do all this paperwork. That's overkill for the size of your program. We're also a high performing program. So HUD says even less paperwork you have to do. All we basically have to do is have you approve and sign the civil rights certification that says we are not violating anybody's rights along fair housing or any of the other civil rights, which we don't. And that suffices along with the resolution for our annual plan. If we weren't a high performing housing authority, we'd have to be putting some other things in place. And we have a 5-year plan. And every 5 years, we do have to do the 5-year plan. But since there's no big changes and we're small and we're doing well, HUD just wants you to kind of recertify every year the civil rights certification, and that's it. 5-year plan we'll approve that for 2025 and 2024. So we'll do this one more time and then we'll go back to the 5-year plan. Makes my life a lot easier.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 3 of 2022.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Board Member Hall and seconded by Board Member Kelly. Any questions on resolution number 3? Can we get a vote, please?
Members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Resolution number 4, series 22, approval of payment standards at 91% of fair market rents effective January 1st, 2023.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with payment standards, we basically set payment standards, and these payment standards are how much we will pay for a unit. We can set them anywhere from 90 to 110% of fair market rent. Of course, we look at how can we maximize our budget with the payment standards, with the number of vouchers and whatnot. So we tend to keep our payment standards a little bit on the lower side. These are mostly fine. We can usually find units within the payment standards. However, fair market rents went up quite a bit for 2023. And so while we are still proposing to stay at 91% of FMRs, we were at 91% this past year. The actual number jumps up quite substantially. For example, the 1-bedrooms this year, the payment standard is $1,241. Staying at 91% for next year is $1,400. And that just demonstrates, right, how rents have gone up. And so these are the numbers that we feel comfortable with for our budget. We also feel comfortable that folks will be able to find units at this price point, and be able to pay that no more than 30 to 40% of their income. Our low income housing tax credit properties, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but I want to make a good point. They make their rents based on area median income. And a lot of them have units that are set at 60% of AMI. AMI went up, so their rents went up. So right now, our low income housing tax credit properties that are affordable, their 1-bedrooms are $1,319. So we need to make sure our payment standards, I know it is what it is. That's how they work. That's how it's set up. But we want to make sure our payment standards are above that. So we can also get the utilities included in there, because our 30% is utilities plus rent. So that's why we're sort of staying a little bit lower still, but enough to encompass kind of all the different factors that are out there, including the rise in rents for our low income housing tax credit properties. We have lots of families at those properties throughout both programs. That said, we've done this before. If these are not the right numbers moving into 2023, we can reevaluate. I can come back and ask you for never lower, something higher.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 4, series of 22.
I'll second.
I have a question. So when the FMR goes up, what does that do for the person that's actually paying the rent? So does that, so it's gone up for like a 1-bedroom to 1,400 coming January. What will that do for their portion of the rent?
So if the total rent plus utilities is less than our payment standard,
Right.
they will pay just 30% of their income towards the rent and utilities.
Okay.
If that amount is higher than our payment standard, the family has to kind of quote unquote eat the difference.
Right.
So if their rent plus utilities becomes to 1,409, they'll pay 30% of their income plus the $9. Most folks can absorb that because we've got folks who, have income. Either it's fixed income or it's they're working.
Retirement, et cetera. Yeah.
Right. So that they can handle it without going over 40%. HUD's big rule is you want to stay around 30 and no more than 40. If they're more than 40, the screen like flashes at me and is like, stop, they're up for over 40. That's kind of a big no-no. So sometimes that will push them up to 33, 35%, 36, a little bit higher. But we try to adjust our payment standards so that doesn't happen too often. And then we tell everybody, when you get a rent increase notice from your apartment complex, do not sign it. Bring it to us first so we can help you make sure you can afford it. Because if you cannot afford it, we'd rather help you move and figure out moving than be in an apartment complex where you can't afford it. Now they can choose. HUD says we don't want them to go over 40, but if they love where they live and the rent just keeps going up and they want to pay more, we can't force it.
Right.
But we'll strongly counsel them to move to something more affordable. We'll kind of give them all the reasons why.
Right. And if something more affordable is nowhere near this neighborhood, then what happens?
We can usually find something around the area. But yes, we have people who have been in their apartments for years and their income hasn't gone up the same way the rents have gone up and they just
Right.
don't want to leave.
Right.
They struggle.
Then they struggle.
They struggle.
Yeah. So do they, I guess my question is, in that case, then they can't afford it. They can't find something here. Their only option is to move elsewhere and move out of their neighborhood, right?
Which is sad, right? Because we have some folks who've been on vouchers for many, many years, right? And they're in a neighborhood they love, they're in a little house they love, but the landlord is raising the rent and it's not reasonable and it's not affordable. It ends up being sad, but we'd rather find them a place that's affordable and sustainable as close as we possibly can. And that means, working with different landlords and doing some different kind of outreach. It's not always possible. I've got a
Right.
case right now of an elderly lady who,
Exactly.
who has to move. And her landlord even is like, I hate doing this.
Then don't.
Right. He deserves to raise the rent. She's in a unit that's too big. It's a 2-bedroom and she only has a 1-bedroom voucher.
Right.
So she has to eat all that difference in payments. So and her family's helping her find a new place. It's tough. Those are the kind of things that break my heart. But again, it's not sustainable for her to stay there. So it's kind of end goal focus. I want to see her find a new, safe, right-sized house or right-sized housing that she'll be in for many more years to come.
And so, okay, the thing that I'm mulling around in my head is, that especially with the aging
Mhm.
folks, the elderly, and they're established, they have neighbors that check on them. They have,
Right.
kids that will help with, grocery, whatever.
Mhm.
They've, and then they're displaced or, whatever. Then they lose those services. And then the cycle starts, then, you've created another problem that, they may end up, in a bad situation or even homeless for that matter. But
Right.
So,
we don't never want to get
is
there.
there any way to discuss with the landlords, hey, you're getting up to where even we can't
Mhm.
keep our tenants, and you've got 3 of our tenants in your building.
Right. So yes, I actually talked the landlord down about $100 a couple weeks ago. We went around and around and around. And I was like, look, if you want him to stay, this is what it has to be.
Because most generally, they're good tenants. I mean-
Exactly, right?
I mean, they're the good tenants because number one, their rent is never late.
Our portion
they're
is never
always-
late.
Yeah, they're always paid, their rent is always
Mhm.
paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those are the ones that I
Right.
would think if I were a tenant, I would want them to stay because that's a guaranteed income.
And you're exactly right. And a lot of those landlords, we can have those productive conversations with. Something we see somewhat often too is folks selling their properties. Folks
Right.
who've owned these properties 20, 30 years, they're tired of property management. It's their retirement nest egg. They sell and the new owner comes in and is like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do
Mhm.
Section 8, or I know I can get more money. This is now going to be my nest egg. So I want to raise the rents. So that happens too. We work really hard to not totally displace folks. And whenever we can get family involved to help them move where they can still continue their services and feel comfortable, we try. We try really hard. Worst case scenario very rarely happens. We can at sometimes, and it depends on whether or not they maybe have a disability or anything that would prevent them from moving successfully, we can raise the payment standards. We can do what's called payment standard exceptions. They have to submit a reasonable accommodation. There usually has to be a doctor's kind of verification with that, hey, they've got all these kind of illnesses, it's detrimental to move. We can approve that and we can approve the payment standard, but that can't always be the case.
Right. Okay. Which is too bad that you can't put in like their mental well-being as well. I mean, once you've established yourself in a neighborhood.
We've done that before with people who are like 82
Right.
and generally healthy, but it'd be really hard for them to move.
Right.
We have some wonderful doctors who will write wonderful letters that are very supportive and us
good.
approving that reasonable accommodation.
Okay, thanks.
Motion was made by Board Member Whitaker and seconded by Board Member Stang. Do you have any other discussion or questions?
No.
Can I get a vote, please?
Members Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Bidefleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. That's all we have on our agenda. Does anyone has anything else for Lindsay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent.
We'll adjourn this Housing Authority meeting at 6:29 PM.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right, we'll move back to our regular work session now. And we're talking about the proposed 2023 budget.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. And this evening, we are going to continue our discussions on the budget for next year. And we are going to talk tonight about special revenue funds. Yay. And special revenue funds are called special revenue funds because they have a special revenue that funds them, right? So it's open space funds or it's other things like that, a dedicated revenue stream that is for specific types of expenditures. Right? So they don't fit into the general fund or they don't fit into the capital fund and aspects like that. I'm going to ask Teresa to walk us through those special revenue funds tonight.
Good evening. So starts on page 22 of the work session packet. It's the memo, but where I'm going to kind of start us out at is actually page 24, which is the actual financials that show the numbers that we're talking about. So the first one that we were talking about is open space. And open space, the main revenue source that we get every year is from Arapahoe County. They assess a mill levy and we get a portion of that every year. And so they designate open space is a little wider on what they can spend their monies on. So we can do trails, we can do, parks, the different things like that. So I budgeted the same amount that we actually brought in this year, which was 208,565. The next line down, Bear Creek Trail Study. So that's something that that we got this year, in talking with Andrew, we originally thought that it wasn't going to start this year, but it is going to start this year. So as you can see, we think we're going to spend 70,000 this year. And so we're going to use up, we're going to get 100,000 in grant revenues. So we'll use the matching 70,000 in grant revenues for that. The other thing that we hadn't really budgeted is the Oxford River Run Park Trail connections. So those, both that revenue and that expense are in 2022. So what this means is, I know what we're talking about 2023 is we're going to need an amendment for 2022. We almost always amend this fund because we get grants. And so then that's a good thing. So, so we will need to do that, but I'll bring that back to you when we actually adopt the budget. So looking actually at the revenues for 2023, the Bear Creek Trail study, how that works is we're going to get 100,000 in grant money, and then we're going to get 46,350 from South Suburban. Make sure I had that right. And then we will do a match for 46,350. So that's why you'll see when you look at 2023 on that Bear Creek Trail study, the 76,350 in revenue, but then the 122,700 in expense, that's where we as the city are making up our 46,350. The other thing that we're the GoCo Inspire grant.
Sorry.
No, sorry, I was like, usually she tells me to slow down. So the GoCo Inspire grant, that's continuing on. So we've got that budgeted next year. And then we always budget for an open space project allowance. That just kind of gives us, if something comes up, you know, sometimes they'll come to us and say, hey, we need, you know, new swing set or something. Anyway, that just gives us a little leeway to do those things. So, so that's what we've got for the open space fund. Did you have any questions, concerns?
I just have a question on the Bear Creek Trail study. So our match is 46,350. And that's a 50-50 match, is that right?
With
With
South
South Suburban.
Suburban.
We're splitting the match, okay. And so when will it be completed? Because it's not gonna take them a year to do a study, is it?
It'll take a little while. I don't know, Andrew, do you want to talk about the?
We kicked it off this morning. actually,
Right.
So it'll go through next
Oh,
about, but
okay. All right, because my next question would have been, oh, and then the funding will be for 2024 for the actual fix, right? For the trail.
For
Probably.
any project recommendations
Okay.
that come out of there, and then we would have some opportunity to budget for that for the next year.
Okay. All right. That was gonna be my question, but no. Okay, got
Anyone else have questions on open space? All right, moving on to page 25. So Conservation Trust Fund or CTF Fund. This is funded through lottery revenues. As you can see, we don't get quite as much. We only get about 40,000 a year. CTF Fund is more restrictive. So what we usually do with this fund is we kind of build it up a little bit. They love parks. They never question parks. So we usually kind of build it up and then we'll help build a park or do something. So that one, as you can see, we can pay the maintenance for the Bobcat, Wildcat, and veterans. We always expense that. The one thing that we didn't do in 2022 that we budgeted for was we had 80,000 in to do some lighting at the different parks. Just with how things were going, that's not going to happen this year. So we're actually moving that 80,000 to next year. And then the one thing that you will see change from 2022 to 2023 is we always put in 10,000 for kind of park project. If somebody comes to us, we increase that to 20,000 just because with what things cost, if South Suburban, whoever come to us, that gives us a little more leeway. But that's pretty straightforward from 2022 to 2023. Yes.
Moving that 80,000 from one year to the other, would it still be used for lighting?
Yes. Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
intention,
It's like,
absolutely.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Sorry. Any questions? CTF?
And just for council's information, when we put like miscellaneous park project or other things along those lines, like the 20,000 in CTF and 20,000 in open space. We don't just go off and spend that without telling council. So we'll always come back to you guys and let you know, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to be tagging this line in the budget to do whatever it is, and make sure that we're looping you guys in on that.
Thank you. Moving on to page 26, which is stormwater fund. Stormwater fund, what we have been doing on that, the utility fees, we've been slowly increasing that 10%. As you know, the fund is negative, which not supposed to be, but we're getting there. COVID, everything hit, inflation. So, not a super great time to go crazy with rates for our citizens. So that's the revenue, pretty much the same, just going to increase that slightly. As far as the expenses compared to last year, the only thing that went away is this year we paid off the street sweeper. That was the last payment for that. So that's the difference when you look between 2022 and 2023. That's the primary difference. So pretty straightforward as far as what's happened from the 2 years.
How old is this street sweeper?
5 years.
That's the one we're not going to be able to get parts for.
Yes.
So, yes.
So in how
Yes.
many years we have to replace it? Another 5.
Have it in your life.
Good to know.
So you might see another lease.
Yeah, it's a good piece of equipment to lease, right? And not necessarily purchase.
Mhm.
So.
All right, scooting on to page 27, debt service fund. This fund, we pay our debt service through property tax by assessing a mill levy. When we went to the citizens and talked to them about doing this for the streets, the unofficial promise was we would keep it under 20 mils. The first year, I think it was 19 and some, it has just continually stayed down. Because our assessed value went up so much, we've been able to keep it at about 12, 13 mils, which is good for our citizens because they're getting that, but yet they're not having to pay such a crazy mill levy. So as far as the bond principal and interest, how it works is as you pay more bond principal, your bond interest payment goes down so that they the payment stays the same, but they go opposite of each other. So that's pretty straightforward. We just assess enough to make the payment for that year. Questions? I'm flying through. All right. Volunteer fire fund. So as always, we have capped our contribution for the volunteer fire at 50,000. We were increasing it kind of to catch up, and now we've kind of kept that as a max. Going on down to as far as contributions, I'm going to that's the contribution for the state and the 50,000 for the city. We apply for 23,194 from the state annually. It's a grant. And so that's what that is. It's set and we always apply for it. I just applied for it. So hopefully we'll get it by the end of the year. So that's always good free money. So as far as the benefits, we've always budgeted 107,000 in the past. We've had some members pass away. We did add a new member, but I think with the difference that we're seeing, I think we can lower that expense some and still be safe and not have to amend the budget. So I'm going to lower that to 100,000. And then just going on down, we usually kind of just budget the interest, the unrealized gains, the realized gains. We always just kind of put an amount in there and then see how the year goes. So, and then the fees and expenses, that's for FPPA to maintain it and to do an actuarial every other year. So that's where we're at for FPPA.
So if the members decided to increase that benefit, would we have to do an amendment, or is there a certain level where we don't have to do that?
We would if we needed to. The thing is if you look at this year's projected column there in the middle, I'm projecting their benefits this year, the expense is going to be 76,000. So they would have to probably like triple their benefits.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
I think we still will be safe,
Okay.
even if that would increase. So that is volunteer fire in a nutshell. Questions, concerns, comments?
and for some of council's information, some little history on this, about 10 years ago or so, we were in the hole on this. And the city had fallen behind on some of the matching contributions on that. So we have been putting in more than we are required to for about 10 years or so. We increased that, I think, like $5,000 a year until we got it to that current city contribution level of $50,000 for each of our budget years. What we're required to do would be to match what the state puts in, basically, which is the 23,000 and change. So you can see we're as a city putting in a significant more contribution to this fund.
All right, next is Sheridan Celebrates, and I'm going to let the expert come talk about that.
Thank you, Teresa. Maybe I'm even shorter than you. I noticed she had to put the microphone down because that other gal was taller. So we're in the rebuilding stage and Sheridan Celebrates, and it's been an interesting year. I did do some analysis of kind of what happened this year. And as those of you who are on the committee know, we had less booths than we'd had in the past. One of the reasons that happened is because the schools built the futsal court and we used to use that area and you can't do that anymore. But we also just had, I think, like I said, we're in a rebuilding stage. So I think that there were people who had been involved with us in 2019, and then they weren't involved with us for several years and either kind of stopped doing the things that they were doing. So we ended up with less exhibitors. We did reach our 82 exhibitors, which was the goal. Part of the way that we did that is we did not do our early bird fee and then raise the fee later. We kept the fee flat for the whole time. I did do some looking, and interestingly enough, we had way more crafters and nonprofits than we'd had in the past. So we had very few large businesses. So we used to have the leaf filters and the champion windows, and those people come out. We didn't really have those people this year. We had the crafters and the nonprofits that really wanted to be part of the festival this year. So that also changes because we have a tiered prices costs for the exhibitor booths. So that changed things quite a bit. So I have reduce that so that we're kind of at the same level that we are this year for the Sheridan Celebrates booth revenue. Sponsor revenue is sort of dwindling too as we go along here. We had that real banner year in 2020 where we raised like $17,000. So that was an interesting year. The sponsor revenue, however, has increased. So that's interesting too. So sponsor revenue has continued to increase and was the highest that it's ever been this year. So that's good news. If people want to be part of our event, they see an opportunity for them to be part of the community here, which is a wonderful community to be part of, and they like to get their name out. So I think that that's a really wonderful thing. So our budget is one where we try to break even as much as possible. So our fundraising revenue just comes in and goes right back out. And ours, like I said, our booth revenue, I kind of kept it at the same level that I did this year after doing some analysis of that. We looked at trying to do a fun run this year and we're not able to make that happen. So we've actually taken that completely out of the budget, but we left the line item. So if that's something that the committee decides they want to do, it's something we can look at. So we just didn't budget anything specifically for that. And we did keep the word events in. So I took a look at what happened with the 3 additional events that we did this year with the ward events. And it looked to me like to budget that at about $1,200 for each event seemed very reasonable. That is higher than probably what our actual costs were, but we relied heavily on the VFW band as our entertainment for all 3 events. And I don't know for sure if that would continue year after year. And hiring a band, we know that can have a significant cost or a smaller cost for those on the Sheridan Celebrates committee. You know, it can be as low as it was this year, which was only $500 for that amazing band. And we've paid as much as $3,500 for a band. So it's kind of all over the board, but might look at a DJ, some of those things, we had looked at some of those costs. So $1,200 seemed very reasonable. I thought Kona Ice was a big hit with most of the folks. So that's sort of what I budgeted for those 3 events. I don't know if you have any additional questions. Oh, the other thing that was really went up this year, surprisingly, was portalettes. Porta potties got really, really expensive, and I don't even know why that is exactly. I mean,
Well,
some
that
of-
stinks. Y'all were thinking it. I know you were.
funny. I mean, sort of interesting. You would think some of it might be cost for traveling them, but I don't know. I think they took advantage of all the
Toilet paper.
sanitizing things they did in COVID and they just raised those prices and just kept them high. So United Site Services, who we worked with for years, won't even talk to you unless you're willing to spend over $1,000 with them. So it's interesting. So that was my other real
I'm gonna go into that business.
surprise. So
It's a
any
crappy
questions?
business.
It's a
I'm gonna
crap-
do it.
Crappy business.
Any questions on the Sheridan Celebrates budget? Thanks for giving me a chance to
Can
talk
you
about
tell
it.
us how much was the fundraising this year?
I think it was right about 4,000 this year. Yeah. So I budgeted it at 3,000 next year. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we were at, I think it wasn't it Teresa, 17,000? Yeah, that first year, 2020, it was 17. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was like $17,000. So, but I don't think we'll see that again. People are at home with nothing to do but give somebody else money. I think they couldn't travel, they couldn't do anything but give money away. So anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the budget.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, anything else, Teresa? Yeah. Oh, SRA.
Oh, my goodness.
How could I
The
forget?
fundraising revenue was 4,045 for this year. So SRA, which starts on page 30, but the meat and potatoes start on page 32. So, and I just kind of realized how small this was, and I'm really, really sorry because I can't even read it. So, so kind of what I did is I'd like, so the 2023 proposed budget, I'm going to have you scoot over to about the middle of the page where it says 2022 projected budget. So what I did is, since we were through 8 months of revenues, I projected out what I think the PIF and the sales tax are actually going to bring. So I've projected that this year will be at 1,596,676. So what I did then is just do a 2% increase for next year. So we always try to be pretty conservative with where we're at. So and where the PIF is applicable, more things have the PIF applied to it than sales tax. That's why I did a 2% increase. And that's why on the sales tax, you only see a 1% increase. So I haven't quite got to that, but so that's where it is on the general fund. As far as the expense side on the general fund, really pretty the same. We always kind of bump up the salaries and benefits and the other personnel expenses. That's where we reimburse the city. So I was just put in 3% there, but then because it's kind of like cart before the horse and everything, once the city gets theirs adopted, then we can actually do what it actually comes out to. So then I'm going to skip really fast. Sorry, on the debt service fund on page 33. So the property tax increment, I did lower that because we are at the mercy of what other people are assessing for a mill levy. So we don't really have any control of that. So it actually was lower in 2022 than what I had budgeted. So I kind of kept it lower for 2023, just to be safe. Sales tax increment, like I said, if we look at that 2022 projected budget, I've got us, I think, ending this year at $7,059,000, which is really good because we ended at $6,939,000 in 2021. So I'm only doing a 1% increase, and that'll be $7,130,000. And then we just have the PIF revenue, which we talked about. As far as the bond principal, the A series, the principal and interest, that is set. So you will see that as like we talked about in our debt service, as principal goes up, interest goes down. So what we do is on the B bond series, whatever we have left after our year-end calculation is what we pay to the B bonds. So we make sure to cover ourselves first, and then we pay the B bonds. So we have budgeted in there $3,970,000. So we kind of have a $3,970,000 cushion. So, you know, if a tornado goes through, we're good. I think we're still good. So as far as everything else going on down with all the fees, that they are mandated at what they are. So we do the calculations and put those in there. And then also you can see there's that city public improvement fee. And we talked about that a little bit when we talked about the revenues for the city when that comes in. So as you can see, we are covered really well for the debt service fund. We still end with a fund balance of $11,053,000. So we're covering our debt reserve for $7,407,000, and then the rest is just there for future payments. Sorry, I was doing really fast because I know we're trying to get things done. So do you have any questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Thank you for that clear and concise summary.
Sorry. Anything else?
No, I was just going to emphasize one other point and it's in general, not necessarily on the debt service fund, but you'll see we're taking pretty conservative approaches when we're looking at revenue projections. I mean, we still see pretty significant inflation in the country at this time, although it's not impacting employment. It's a very strange kind of inflation at the moment. However, we're trying to look out, you know, a little ways as well. So employment hasn't really been affected too much, and retail consumer spending hasn't been impacted too much yet. I think we'll get there a little bit. So you'll see that we're being fairly conservative moving forward, even though we've, you know, knock on wood, seen all of our revenue sources, you know, stay really strong, which is fantastic. But we're still taking a very, very guarded approach when we look at our revenue projections here.
All right. Anything else on the budget before we move along? Okay. Next, we have the tree canopy. Ari.
Happy stuff.
Yes.
Trees. Come on. So those of you who attended Sheridan Celebrates this weekend saw our fun surveying activity. So we surveyed our attendees about what kind of trees they'd like to see in Sheridan. So we had 236 responses. Overwhelmingly, the redbud won. Just so everyone knows, that's very clear that people want to see redbuds. We heard from everyone they just like to see a little more color in the city. So that's just some fun little info. And just so you know, before we go into fall, the reason I'm talking to you about trees tonight and not early spring is because the city needs to make a large purchase order for trees that will be delivered early spring so that we can distribute. So you might have seen that weird graph thing on your table up there. So this is just a sampling software that is offered through, I can't, my hyperlink is cut off, so sorry. But so the sampling software just provides me, the human, with an image, and then I tell it what it is. And so we collected 1,500 data points on that. And you can see that the tree canopy is about 7.5% of Sheridan. And most of that is concentrated along Bear Creek. And we have a lot of impervious road. And then if you're wondering what impervious other would be, impervious other is concentrated stuff. So junk cars, construction material, you know, for our industrial uses. And then road would be driveway, sidewalk, road, you know, all forms of road. So, you know, there's some work that could be done there, I think, and this program would kind of help get that out. So my request this evening for council is to pick 2 trees, specifically between the Western Catalpa, a Kentucky coffee, and a Chincapin oak. So we already have one oak that was a winner, the Shumard oak, which turns a nice red in the fall. And then we have our ornamental trees were picked pretty easily because the redbud and then Hot Wings Maple was the second runner up there. So I'd be happy to, oh, there's Yes.
I have to say, I voted for the oak, the top right one at the festival, because, well, green is a color too, you know.
It's true.
Come on.
Your eye is trained by, to seek out green.
Yes,
So
but to me, that looked like a really nice, at least in the picture, a really nice broad shade tree. And I thought shade would be great, you know, ornamentals are nice, but you
I
want.
voted for the Western Catalpa. The Catalpa has the great big white, beautiful, smelly, wonderfully smelling flowers.
yeah, it has the pretty flowers.
Oh my
Do
gosh,
we
Nice
they
have the
smell so
graphic that
good.
we could just email.
And they
us
grow
real
really
quick?
big.
This graphic, could you email it without all the stickers on it?
Yes,
Looks
I
better
think
with
Jenna's
the
going to do that
stickers,
right
though.
now, actually.
Okay, yeah, we looks like a Christmas tree.
Oh,
yeah. Right.
You sure?
I mean, they all look beautiful.
I was looking at a gold spike ginkgo to plant this year. So that isn't in the list. And it's beautiful. It's nice yellow.
so I will say that we worked with the Colorado Tree Coalition, their arborists to come up with this selection of trees.
They're easy.
They're easy, exactly. So we're trying to increase
grow
tree
up.
canopy. We want to make this easy for people. We want to make it cheap, and we want to keep doing it as long as we have money to do it. Until we run out of area to canopy. You know, there will come a day when, you know, Sheridan's small, so can't have trees everywhere, but really just kind of trying to push it out. We've kind of done the numbers as far as money, and we're thinking about purchasing about 100 trees this year. So we'll offer 5 species, 2 ornamental, 3 shade, and it'll be about 20. We're thinking less ornamental to offer a few more shade, but it'll be 3 species. So yeah, the Shumard oak just really like crushed it. I have 52 votes for it. Everything else is like 9 or 11 votes. So I don't know if there was anything that stuck out to you. I'd like to be able to put the order in tomorrow or as late as next Monday.
Can you repeat for us which ones we're choosing?
Of
from?
course. So yeah, it's like a game show or
It
something.
is.
This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So the West there, and they'll go in kind of in order. So the Western Catalpa, which is the top left, the Kentucky Coffee, so second from the left, and then the Chincapin Oak, which is all the way on the right, all on the top. And please discuss or do what you need to.
So you like the catalpa?
Yeah, it does smell. Well, I can tell you where there's one at. It's right over on Bear Creek and Lowell, where you cross over Bear Creek. There's a great big one that grows there, and it has the great big white flowers and what have you.
Are
and
they
it
the ones with the
smells-
long pods?
They have the long pods.
They
that's
can
right.
have
Are
the long
those,
pods.
are those any trouble for maintenance or not? Randy's like, yes. That's what I was thinking when I saw that one. I was like, I think it has really big seed pods.
Mhm.
It becomes quite a mess to clean up.
It's true.
The one question on the 3 you're talking about,
Yeah.
they're fairly good canopy trees, right?
Right.
And these trees have all been selected for our basic,
Area.
For the
Area.
South Metro
Right,
area,
okay.
absolutely.
because as most of us know, that the Chinese elm is the fastest growing tree, but it lasts about 20 years. And I've got like 4 of them that are all dead or dying.
Right.
And I would love to plant something I know is going to be around because I'm getting ready to cut them down. In fact, even my lodgepole pine is dying. So
All
Might
right,
need
let's
to
try to
give
get
it-
through this. Can we have everybody say which one they like? And we'll see if there's any consensus. Go for it. Start, Dallas.
I'm all the way to the right, upper right.
Okay, Chinkapin oak. What are you? Oak.
I'll stick with the catalpa.
I like the oak.
I like
That's what
that.
I'm thinking.
Chincapin oak.
Right. Seeing a winner here.
I'll go with an oak.
All right.
Yeah, same.
All right,
Right. So-
easy.
Yeah, so there will be more details to come as this program gets started. I appreciate your urgency and assistance this evening so that we can get our order in before all the other communities snatch up all the good trees. So,
And Ari, did you tell council what the time frame is? I can't recall.
I did not, but so
Okay.
we'll be placing our order tomorrow and we will have kind of like an informational campaign going out early next year. I'm thinking like January, February to really drum up support. And then we'll have an interest order form that will go out in March with distribution in April around Earth Day. Go figure.
Nice.
Good idea.
This like happened maybe 2 years ago as well.
That's what I heard, is that in 2019, there was a tree planting campaign with Groundwork Denver, and we will be working closely with Groundwork Denver to assist people in planting these trees in their yards.
They were free then. I don't know.
They were
how-
free then. So
Yeah.
we're thinking reduced cost. The
Okay.
arborist, he did Littleton's tree planting campaign for the last 30 years. He actually started it. And he said, if you give people stuff for free, they don't take care of it, charge them just a little bit and they will take a lot more care of
Okay.
it. And that's just something they learned. So
Nice.
these are about $80 a pop, and we're thinking 20 for residents or
Nice.
businesses.
So probably 3 foot tall trees.
He said they were 4 feet
Oh,
tall.
okay.
Actually, I was kind of impressed.
Yeah.
So I will have more information as it comes available.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you, Ari.
interest tonight. Bye-bye.
Okay. Our last item is any coverage of agenda items. We just have, oh, we're actually over. I guess we'll just move into the meeting.
Mayor,
if that's
we
okay.
can discuss those as they come
Yeah.
along. You bet.
All right, so we'll adjourn our work session at 7:02 PM. And move over to the city council meeting. We have a reintroduction by Andrea.
Podemos tener
please?
una reintroducción de Andrea. Oh, sorry. Hi, you guys stopped it before I was done. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea. I'm here interpreting for so that we can practice language justice. We're going to have simultaneous interpretation in English and Spanish. And after we turn on the interpretation, where you guys are going to select your preferred language. Thank you for letting me know where you are in the packet. It makes the interpretation so much easier. Please make sure that when you are responding from like back there, you come close to a microphone so that I can hear. I couldn't hear very well Andrew today when he was answering from over there. So I missed out interpreting those things. I did want to say that you guys did fantastic today, so good job. I'm going to say this very quickly in Spanish and then we're going to turn on the interpretation. Hola a todos, soy Andrea, soy aquí para que podamos practicar la justicia del lenguaje. Vamos a tener interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español. Cuando aprendamos la interpretación, por favor, seleccionen el icono de la parte de abajo donde dice que pueden escoger inglés y español. Por favor, hablen a un paso conversacional para poder entender todo lo que están diciendo. Y si no los escucho, me voy a apuntar a mi audífono. Thank you, and we can begin interpretation now.
Thank you. I'll call to order the regular Sheridan City Council meeting for September 26, 2022. The time is 7:04 PM. And we still have all council members present. And we rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we just gather once again and to lead and guide the city of Sheridan. And we are just so fortunate and so blessed to be able to do so. We ask, Lord, that you continue to just rain down your blessings on the city of Sheridan in so many ways. We're so grateful for the opportunity to have been able to gather this weekend at Sheridan Celebrates, where folks were able to come out and participate. It comes to my mind that there was a person that mentioned it was like getting a breath of fresh air, Lord. And we are so grateful for that, that you have just been so good to us. We ask, Lord, that you continue to watch over our police department and staff, keep them safe, keep them vigilant, watch over our administration, keep them well and happy and prosperous. The EMTs and the fire, also, Lord, just blessings over them and keep them, very vigilant and also safe. In this day and age, there's so much going on, Lord. Just watch over all of them, as you do those of us that are behind the dais. And as always, Lord, our citizens, bless them in so many ways. And we ask all of these things in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have any agenda changes?
No changes tonight, Madam Mayor.
First, we have the financial reports, receive and file the financial reports.
I'll move to approve the financial report.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Stang. Any questions or discussions on the financial reports? Can we get a vote, please?
Councilmember Howell,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Vider,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have an opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to address council tonight, this is your opportunity.
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Staff reports, city clerk.
No report tonight, Madam Mayor, except that I would like to indicate that I plan on retiring the end of the year. So, but I'll be here until the end of December for sure.
It's time to throw a party. Always time to
Right.
throw a party.
Oh, yeah. That's
glad-
true.
So glad you're getting rid of me, right?
No. Yeah, we'll have to have an extra good party. this
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
year. Well, we'll definitely miss you. So,
Thank you.
and I know the time's going to fly though for you.
It
Well, that-
will. I was retired once before and I was never so busy in my life as when I was retired. So I'm sure it'll be the same.
Yeah. All right.
And
Yeah,
I'm
but
always available for.
Well, yeah,
consulting
we'll
or
keep
whatever.
calling you
That'd be
if
good.
you're retired, so
I-
you won't get out of it.
No, I hope not. I hope not. Hope you'll keep me in mind. And that's all I have tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. City Attorney, do you have anything for us tonight?
Mayor, I don't have anything to report. I just wanted to thank you for letting me attend remotely on short notice. And I am here if any of you need anything tonight from a legal perspective on any of the agenda items. But thank you. And other than that, nothing to report.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to see you even virtually.
You as well.
All right, City Manager.
A few things. So just real quickly, just to let you know, I'll be out of town this coming Friday and Monday, going out to North Carolina for a family thing. Just like to let you guys know when I'm going to be out of town. Wanted to say thanks to everybody that went to Sheridan Celebrates this weekend. I was there early. Then I had to drive kids all over the state and back for stuff, but thanks to all the staff that was there and for all the work they did and for all the work the council and the committee has done on there. It looked like it was going off really well. And as usual, we had glorious weather. We always have glorious weather. I've been doing this, 11 years now or something, and never had bad weather. It's bizarre.
We
It's
once had
weird.
we once had a little bit of like frosty dew.
Yeah.
And that was like the worst
Yeah.
first thing in the morning.
Right.
Besides that, it's always gorgeous.
We've had like blizzards either side of it or horrible, storms. And then Sheridan Celebrate comes along. It's just like, ta-da. And so it was that way again. So that was great. But thanks to everybody for all the effort that goes into that. And looked like people were having a good time. I know my kids were. So you might have noticed that we got a little bit of construction going on when you walked in here. If you want to see what the finished product looks like, look downstairs into the downstairs foyer. You'll see the tile, and I think it looks fantastic. So we're working this week on the upstairs piece of it here. And just for council's information, we're trying to work it around, but we may have the possibility later this week, we might have to be closed a half a day or maybe even a full day with our general government or through the main door here. It's just gonna, when we were able to do downstairs, the PD has their back way that they can go in and out, and the access to the window is fairly short right there. But for folks to come in all the way and get to we'll see what we can do, but we might end up having, just so you guys know, we might have to shut things down just for a little while, just to let them finish off the project and get out of the way. So that wouldn't be until later this week though. Let's see, talked about that. just to run by a quick question for you guys. Is anybody opposed to us putting up holiday lights?
No.
Okay, I didn't think we would, but I wanted to check in with you. So we're looking at, Amy got us a proposal for some holiday lighting to look at doing that here this year. And it's a company out of Boulder that does several other municipalities holiday lighting for them. They do Inglewoods, they do, I think they do Erie, Louisville. There was several of them that they did. So they gave us a little proposal on doing something here I'm looking at. I think we'll be able to pull that off. I have to talk to Teresa about that. But I just wanted to make sure that nobody had any strong objection to any holiday lighting. I will let you know, it'll be nothing that is overtly religious or too Christmassy. It's not going to be Santa Claus coming up out, you know, or anything. It's going to be lights, right? It's going to be lights, and that's pretty much it. Just wanted to just kind of see what I got. Head nods that nobody was going to be upset about that. Very good. That's all I've got for tonight, Mayor. Be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I think that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
And
sounds
we get
good.
the ones that sync with the radio station. Have you guys seen that one?
What?
Like the lights that actually like sync with the radio station.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you can't hear it, you know, out like in the public, but if you're in a vehicle and it's putting like a light show on, where it says like there's like a sign that says turn to this station,
Huh.
and it goes with the
Interesting.
it's really cool. I'm just saying.
We're not going to do that.
Maybe not the first year anyway.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Kelly, but that's not on the
All right, you
agenda.
know,
We'll look at that in the future.
I'm always thinking big.
All right, Chief, you have anything for us?
Nothing to report tonight, just a great event and Sheridan celebrates and great way to let the city shine. I was, this was the first time I was able to attend as the chief to the actual event and not our two separate events during COVID. And it was wonderful. I know it was a little smaller than some of the previous years, but it was wonderful and great job by everyone who put that together. So thank you.
I just wanted to tag on the chief mentioned and Gina mentioned too about, you know, we have fewer vendors and things like, my wife does a lot of work for the Jefferson County PTA Association, and she helps them put on their main conference every year. She had less than half of their normal vendors. It's just, it's everywhere. So it's not Sheridan celebrates. It is absolutely everywhere that is losing. COVID sent a lot of people off on different paths, and they don't do this anymore. And so you reach out to these people that you used to have coming year after year, and they're like, I'm sorry, we're just, no, you know, they didn't make it through COVID. They had to go another way. So it's gonna, as Gene was saying, it's gonna be rebuilt, right? It's gonna take a little while to get back to where we were. And it's everywhere that we're seeing it.
I was happy with how many she got, considering, you know, I think the most we've had was around 100. So to be at 82 is not bad. You know?
I was talking to one of the vendors. She was selling baked goods and she sold out early. She said, I didn't expect to sell this much. So she said next year she'll double or triple it up.
Wow.
So
Good. That's good to hear.
yeah.
Okay.
And the church ran out of hamburgers as well.
Yeah.
And they said they had like 300 or 400. So we did well too.
Oh,
And just because it was smaller doesn't mean that it wasn't still, you know, really, really big. Like I even got to meet Bones. The canine dog was there.
Nice.
And yeah, I think everyone loved when Miles showed up.
Oh, gosh.
Place went crazy. Rocky, when he was there. Yeah, I mean, I think it was great. I loved it. I had a bunch of friends come to the event as well. So yeah.
thanks. Okay. Anything else, Chief?
Nothing else.
All right, we'll move along.
Can I ask a question? Just a little short one
Yeah,
for
or- Sorry.
holiday lights. Did anybody find out about over at River Point?
We have
Are they
been
gonna be-
trying to make contact with the people that are now in charge of that for Kimco over there, and we finally will be meeting with them this week, tomorrow.
Oh, don't forget to
We've
ask
been
about
trying,
lights
we'll
and decorations.
put that on the agenda. We've been trying to reach this and have them meet with us for, I don't even want to tell you how long.
I'll
So-
bring up my topic now that I was going to bring up the mayor's choice then.
Okay.
What's up with the signs, the letters? Because the letters are like a bunch of them are knocked out or
Are they? Okay.
fallen over, or there's
Yeah,
like
right.
pieces propped up
Yeah.
on them and stuff.
Yeah, I think
and
that, yeah.
It looks pretty shabby. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like one of them, all the fronts are missing and it's just like you can see bulbs, the one over by the movie theater. And
Yeah.
then the other one, like some of them are missing or some of them are like propped up where they've fallen off or something, you know.
Yeah, we've been having a hard time getting hold of the people that are now again in charge of site maintenance and site management over there, whereas before it was sold to Kimco, it was Lou over there. We all knew Lou. I'd call Lou and Lou would call me back in an hour, right? And it's just not that way now. So it's part of our meeting yesterday is to go, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
With what we've been running into so far. So
Okay, great, thanks.
thank you.
There's some other places over there at River Point that are concerning. I think right there by Chili's parking lot is right in the corner there is getting lower and lower and lower.
Sinking. Yeah.
It's sinking away. And same with River Point and Costco Boulevard. It's sinking in there too. So I don't, maybe it'll last till 2040. Hopefully.
Pump some of that stuff in that we used on Princeton, right?
Yeah. Let's put that in. How about that?
Yeah.
It would take a lot. That was expensive too, as you remember. Oh man, yeah. But no, thank you for bringing those up, and those would definitely be, you know, some of the things that we're going to be discussing with them tomorrow.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for staff before we move on? Okay. Minutes of the regular city council meeting of September 12th, 2022.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
A second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Any discussion or questions on the minutes?
I saw a spot here. I hate to comment on spelling, but city clerk thanked council for their good wishes and she received Durant.
Durant.
Yeah, Durant. Should be during, but
Yes.
I don't know.
I'll correct it. Must be on the
First page, staff reports, under staff reports on the minutes.
I'll correct it.
Thank you. Anything else? We get a vote, please.
Councilmember Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Barterfluer,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman,
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Whoever-
Too many different.
Whatever
This
hat
is
I'm
moving
wearing.
back and forth.
Next, we have the consent agenda, authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from September 1st, 2022 to September 15th, 2022 in the amount of $435,460.66 per the referenced and attached transfer of funds.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Smith. Any questions on the consent agenda? Can I get a vote, please?
Councilmembers Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Barterfluer,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Items for individual consideration. We have ordinances on first reading. Ordinance number 10 of 2022. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, amending section 50-38 of the Sheridan Municipal Code regarding obstructing of peace officer, firefighter, emergency medical services provider, rescue specialist, code enforcement officer, park ranger, or volunteer.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 10 of 2022.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Hall, and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker. We'll get some info from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is amending an existing ordinance. So you can see as it is, we already in our municipal code have it as a violation if you obstruct a peace officer, firefighter, any of those folks that are listed there in those positions. We have not had our photo radar technician position listed as one of those. And we have run into issues and had problems with people that would stand in front of the photo radar van and try to obstruct the camera or block the way of the technicians or harass them while they were trying to do their jobs. And so making sure and looking back that we have the wherewithal that we can enforce when we run into those kind of issues. That's what this amendment is for. And I'd ask the chief if he has anything else that he wanted to add to that.
Just add that it has been extremely frustrating for our personnel that work that, and we're trying to, of course, protect them, number one, but keep their spirits up as well, because it's very frustrating to not to be able to do anything to protect them in executing their duties, an important duty that keeps our children safe with the speeds down there. So, thank you.
We have any discussion on this ordinance? It's only on first reading, so we'll see it again.
Yeah, I think it's good, long overdue. Good.
So then are they code enforcement?
I'm
Or are
sorry?
they- What are they called?
Who?
Well, it's for
So this is amending the existing ordinance.
peace officer, firefighter, emergency
Mhm.
services,
That's the
rescue
current
specialist,
title, and it's being amended.
code enforcement, or park ranger. or
Down in,
volunteer.
it's in the
It's in the ordinance.
ordinance
in-
itself.
Yes.
Okay.
So already we have already we have in.
But you don't list them?
Yeah, in already you can't obstruct any
Right.
of our, basically any of our folks.
Right.
If they're in the process of doing their job, and we just didn't specifically call out photo radar on that. And so we wanted to just be crystal clear about that if somebody does obstruct photo radar, which has happened, that we have the wherewithal in our code and then take enforcement action on that. As we would if somebody obstructed a firefighter, or if somebody was obstructing a code enforcement officer, or anything else like that.
Okay, any other discussion at this point? You get a vote, please.
Mayor Fleur,
Yes.
Council members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Bagel,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance number 11 of 2022, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, enacting Chapter 23 of the Sheridan Municipal Code regarding community event permits.
I'll make a motion to accept ordinance number 11/2022.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Stang and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker.
Council, as you're aware, we have a number of, we just talked about one. We have a number of community events that are out there, and we're in the process of putting more out there and getting more interest in them, as well as we get approached numerous times a year on bike races and running races and any number of other events that impact our community. And we haven't up until this point really had a all-in-one kind of place to go or form to fill out or permit that we can use to help keep track and make sure we're informing them of the various requirements that they have, and we're making sure we're notifying the people we need to notify on our side of this. So Randy's been wanting to have this for a while. I know, because a lot of those go to Randy as far as, oh, I want to close down this street, or I want to do this kind of thing. And this would allow us then to put in place the kind of requirements and make it clear that here's what you're going to have to do, and puts in a permit process for that. So Randy, anything else that we wanted to mention about that, or?
No, it just basically cleans up the permit process. So currently we use the right-of-way permit, which is for construction, and it really isn't for a public event. So this just cleans it up and makes it a whole lot fairer for people to apply for it. So.
It doesn't really spell it out in there, but can I assume the city is exempt from its own permit process? I mean, so like we wouldn't need a permit for Sheridan Celebrates. is that right?
Actually, no, Sheridan Celebrates actually would need a permit.
Why?
That's what the attorneys told me, so.
Did it need?
It's insured by the city. I mean, it's a city event.
Generally, my understanding is that we have the right to use our spaces as we see fit on that. So, I mean, maybe just in the interest of consistency, we might look at it, but my understanding, and we'll talk to the attorneys more between now and second reading, with regards to that, whether how it and how that applies. And I see Mary Lynn has popped on there. So we can have that discussion and we can see what Mary Lynn has to say now too.
Okay.
And so I had drafted a similar ordinance for another jurisdiction, and in that we did not require the city to get permits, but I will look into that because there might have been a reason that Bill Hayashi thought that that was necessary. So let Bill and I, if it's okay, let Bill and I revisit that, and we can follow up with the city manager. And if we need to make an adjustment to specifically exempt a city, and it would need to be an exclusively city sponsored event, which would be exempt. If there was a co-sponsor that is not a city, that is not the city, we probably still would require the permit to ensure that the city is adequately protected in terms of insurance, liability shifting, and those kinds of matters, which is what this ordinance already provides for. But yeah, let Bill Hayashi and I revisit that with the city manager, and we'll make sure that that if there is an exemption for a city event that is sponsored by the city, that it's done appropriately. Because I understand council's question there, and I think that there is a way to do this, but it just depends on who might be co-sponsoring the event.
I believe how it goes is Sheridan Celebrates was its own entity to start.
Right.
When we discovered we had no insurance, was brought up, how do we get insurance? Sursa said, if you have members of the
Council
then,
on the committee.
then you can be covered by insurance
Mhm.
as long as it's not necessarily, even though it says Sheridan Celebrates, it's not a part, which I don't know how we make it. We fund it. It's part of our budget. And I think it should be a part of the city of Sheridan. So maybe that might be where it comes from.
Yeah, and maybe be careful with the word sponsor, because I mean, we accept funds to help pay for the event, but those sponsors don't have any real control over the content of the event, you know?
Yeah, that's
their
right,
name on it.
Mayor. It
Yeah.
would be city held. It would probably be a better way of putting it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions on this? Mm-mm. Okay. Then we'll have a vote.
Council members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Bargerfluer,
Yes,
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
thank you. Now we have a resolution number 24 of 2022. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving a grant with Bridge House for capital and land acquisition funding associated with the settlement of a new ready-to-work site.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 24 of 22.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Whitaker and second by Councilmember Smith. Want to give us some info?
Thank you, Mayor. As council will recall, at our last meeting, we had this on the agenda, but we had it in the format of a more like a contract that we would do with a services contract. And then I had a discussion with the city attorney prior to that, and he had a preference that we change that over to more of a grant format, which I think makes it easier on everybody involved. So that's what you have in front of you this evening. It's the same agreement and same funding amount that we would provide to Bridge House, which is $250,000 in our city ARPA funds. And it really, the only change is that it would be formatted as a grant rather than a service agreement. And again, this is for the Ready to Work program, which is a program put on by Bridge House. Bridge House is the nonprofit, and they are locating over just across our border right on Windermere, and have a new building that they'll be just recently closed on and doing a reconstruction or a refit on that building. I think about between $2 and $3 million on their refit on that building. And I can't remember, maybe we put it in here, how many I wanted to say it was around 50 bedrooms or 50 beds that'll be included in that. And then of course they have all the services, the employment services that go with that. So and we're actually had a meeting with them today. I know staff met with the folks from Bridge House and Ready to Work about possibly looking at how can we employ some of their folks with the city and some of the things that we do here. So.
Any questions about that resolution? Not seeing anything. Let's get a vote, please.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Bagel,
Yes.
Mayor Roger Fleur,
Yes,
Councilmember Whitaker.
Yes.
Unanimous, Madam Mayor.
thank you. Next, we have Mayor's Choice. I also want to thank everyone for helping out with Sheridan Celebrates. I know it's a huge deal for Public Works. It's a lot for our police department to all participate in that. And just to have, other city staff there participating and reaching out in the community. It was great to see everybody there. And also council members who are involved. Councilmember Hall helps around with some things. Still, even though he tries to get out of everything. Councilmember Daigle helped with the children's parade.
So much fun.
And Councilmember Kelly jumped in this year to work on the grand parade.
The Knights of Columbus, I tell you what, I got there about 10:30. They already had everything done, ready to go.
They know what
I
they're
mean,
doing.
yeah,
know what to do.
they're on top of it. It made it really, really easy for me.
How'd you get out by being there at 10:30? What the heck?
Well, they didn't tell me exactly what time I needed to be there.
7:30.
I just knew I needed to be there before the parade kicked off.
That's great.
But yeah, I appreciate everyone's help. And it was a great event. And I think you could really feel the difference, after the 2 years off. I think it was amazing just to see the people in the community that you just don't see otherwise.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a small town, we don't have a ton of opportunities to just meet with people, to just have those chance meetings. So that's, to me, one of the greatest values there is just to run into those folks you haven't seen for a year or two and get to have a little talk with them.
Yeah,
So
it was nice. The band also was.
the band was amazing for $500.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my
I know
God.
that was deal.
I know. I'm like, let's just have them back every year. I don't know.
I wanted to share one story, and I'm sorry I missed the band. I really wanted to see the band. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we were sitting and eating pancakes, and I was talking to some folks next to us, and they grew up and went to high school here in Sheridan. They live elsewhere now, but they come back for this.
Oh, yeah.
And they have
Yeah,
been for that.
exactly.
And they do it because they're like, oh, we know we're going to get to see, and they started naming off folks,
Yeah.
right? So it's like it was a little mini reunion for them.
Yeah.
Yep, that's I think that's the biggest value of the event. It's great to have music, great to have vendors and all that, but just having something that everybody wants to come to and see everybody else. I think you can't put a price on that.
No.
Council members, what do you have this week?
Well, I'll just piggyback on that. There's some of the comments that I heard. So I was with the children's parade, which is the best part because they're so cute and so fun. And we don't have to walk so far. That's a bonus. But we dance. We dance. So that's good. But like the comments that I got from people and from the they were just so happy to be able to be at something and outside and where people were gathering and like the breath of fresh air. That made my heart feel really good. Wow, this is like a breath of fresh air. But the other comments were the staff. I mean, the people that are helping from vendors. We don't get this help at Littleton. We don't get this help at Inglewood. We don't get this help. We have to carry everything in. We don't have people helping us set up tents. We just don't get the help from others. I will come back here every single year, have been coming for, so many years or whatever. And those were the kinds of comments. They were just so pleased with the fact that the people, the city council was visible, that administration was visible, that the police officers were visible, and you don't get that anywhere else. So I thought that was a really cool bunch of comments, and it was more than one. It was just amazing. So definitely was a very good event to get back into a new year. It was really nice. A lot of fun. You missed it.
I know, it's working.
You were
Aw.
working.
Sorry.
Next year, you need to take off.
All right.
Yeah, because it was fun.
What do you want to bring up?
There's one of the school zone flashers that's just north of here on Federal isn't working.
Okay.
Just as you come up, the last one as you come up to Oxford.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. It's almost like it stopped when there was a break and then didn't start back up when the kids went back to school 3 weeks, a month ago.
Yeah, I noticed that one today.
Good time for extra revenue on the radar.
Go ahead.
Thanks, staff, for
Oh,
putting
yeah.
this together. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Everyone heed Jenna's
Those-
warning not to put it in the dryer.
Yeah, they do shrink a bit. And it was our PIO, Amy Woodward, that she came up with that design and ordered those for us. I think they look sharp. I think everyone on staff likes them a lot. And we tend to wear them.
I was very jealous when I saw them this weekend.
Yeah.
Here's my shirt. No, not really. I knew I'd get one eventually.
We will definitely, do we have more somewhere? We do. Okay, we do. Okay, we have more. So
They're very
come
cool.
in and let us know.
In different sizes, she has those available as well. So
Yeah, but it did shrink up. Quite a few folks had them shrink up on them, I think.
they
so,
shrink a lot.
Yeah.
Don't try it.
Big man in a little t-shirt.
Okay. Anybody else? Don't see anything. Okay, one more chance for public comment to talk to council tonight.
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then we'll adjourn the regular meeting at 7:38 PM and we're going to move right into the SRA meeting. I'll call to order this meeting of the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency for September 26, 2022. The time is 7:38 PM. We still have all board members present. Approval of minutes. Minutes of the SRA regular meeting of August 22nd, 2022.
Go ahead. You can take it and I'll second. How's that?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the SRA regular meeting of August 22nd, 2022.
Second.
New. Motion made by Board Member Stagg and second by Board Member Hall. Any discussion on the minutes? Make sure that's noted in the minutes.
Right?
Can we get a vote, please? We could go ahead and have a vote.
Okay. Members Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Biderfler,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have receive and file the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial reports.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Smith and seconded by Board Member Whitaker. Any discussion on the financial reports? We can get a vote, please.
Member Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Biderfler,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. The approval of disbursements, authorized disbursements that have been or will be made for expenses in the amount of $117,443.63, referenced below. 1, legal expenses, $358. 2, other professional services, $8,246.31. 3, city support services, $108,114. 4, other expenses, $725.32.
I'll move to approve the disbursement.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Daigle and seconded by Board Member Kelly. Any discussion or questions on the disbursements? Can we get a vote, please?
Members Tagle,
Yes.
Chairman Biderfleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. New business, the Pinnacle Report for September 2022. Bring it home.
This is the highlight of your evening. I
Yes.
end your meeting really well.
It
So
is, yeah.
we're on page 12 of the SRA board packet. As far as we talked about the revenues already, so that's why I didn't put it in here because I knew we were talking about budget. But as far as what's going on as new retailers and things, as you can see, the River Point Surgery Center is kind of moving along. VRCC continues to move along as well. Real Cajun open, so go try it out. I drove by and it says 3 to 10, so that didn't work very well for me. So I will have to stay in that and go have some after dinner. No updates on Sally Beauty Supply. As Devin alluded, we are meeting with someone from Kimco tomorrow, so that would be kind of nice because we usually kind of got updates from Lou on things and different things. So that will be a good thing to get that. Pledge revenues, we're doing great. So year to date, we're still up 9.72. I just feel like with everything that's opening, we're just going to continue that into 2023. So knock on wood, I'm just really excited and I think it's just going to continue. So no compliance deadlines in September and my life is budget. So we will bring this back for you to adopt at the October meeting. So if you want anything changed before then, please let us know. All right. Any questions, concerns?
How did I not know Real Cajun opened?
I didn't know either.
I just saw some balloons out there, so we drove by and I saw the same thing. Like 3 to
Yeah,
6
I
3
was
to
like,
10,
oh,
so
I'll
it's
go get
just
something.
dinner time, basically.
Yeah.
Really, their hours are 3 to 8.
Oh, sorry, I
Was
said
it
3 to
8?
10. I couldn't remember. I
3 to
said
10?
It's only,
lunch.
it's only dinner. so.
Yeah. So
Okay, I thought they were gonna have a lunch, but okay.
that's what said on the door. So yeah.
Maybe that's how they're
so,
starting out, it's just with dinner, but
Yeah. So,
Okay,
all right. Anything?
no
All right.
gumbo for lunch.
No.
thank you. Okay. Thank you for being here, everybody. We will adjourn at 7:43 PM.
We have 15 minutes to get there.
Everybody.